What's going on, y'all, and welcome to Anxious Wow, a podcast that explores the intersection of mental health and wellness, being a minority in America, living with pride, and the ghetto-ness of adulthood. Hi, I'm Emperor.
And I'm Tevin. Whether it's your first time tuning in or you're an active member of the Anxious Wow family, thanks.
That's right.
Yeah. And today we have a very special guest. Say hello to Jeff.
What's up, y'all?
What's going on, Jeff?
Ain't I appreciate you guys for having me. I like the intro because I always tell people adulthood is the worst hood to ever live in.
Come on now. I'm put that on a shirt.
Yeah, for sure. No matter where you from, I probably think adulthood got it beat. So yeah, for sure.
I agree with you 1,000%. People trying to rush to grow up. I'm like, take your time.
Take your time,
please.
One thing my mom said I never did. She said I was never in a rush to grow up.
You was a smart one.
Yeah.
Everybody want to be an adult until those bills come.
My biggest thing was I don't want to go to prison, but
prison.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
That's a huge stretch. That's a huge change right there.
From childhood to prison.
Like, before my mom, she could come save me, and then after that, she can't.
Too much law and order.
Yeah,
right.
That's what it sounds like. Dum dum. His brain every day.
Hey man.
I feel that. It's okay. It's all right. You good.
So normally when we have guests, we normally drop an icebreaker to get the person more comfortable.
Okay.
So Tevin, hit him with the icebreaker for today.
One question. What is something you think is played out?
This might be controversial.
Okay.
But I think BBLs are played out.
Yeah, man, they should never happen.
Truthfully. I mean, especially coming from someone with a fitness background, I feel like just go and try.
Right.
At least try. You know what I'm saying? If you go and you feel like, all right, I did the best that I can and my body just won't change the way that I want it to, which some people obviously is genetics play a huge role in that. But like to go to that extreme, also putting your body at risk of maybe losing your life to look apart for other people just doesn't really make sense to me. So in that sense, BBLs for me is played out. I mean, there are obviously a bunch of other things, but that for me, I think is one that we just wrap that one up all together.
I agree with you 1,000%. I saw this, well, I don't know if she's an artist, whatever she is. Her name is Dream Doll, and she was on a podcast and she was talking about, because it's not in anymore, I want to get it removed. And I'm like, wait a second, because it's not in anymore. Like, you get enhancements because it's a trend. Like, if you want to get something done, like, I'm not against plastic surgery, but I'm all about hard work. Like, I go to the gym 5-6 days a week. It's about diet and exercise. And again, some, like you said, genetics play a huge factor. But like to have your butt be astronomically huge to appease someone makes absolutely no sense. So I think get rid of BBLs and surgeries just because you think is a trend. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
My mind just immediately went to that Tyler Perry movie, Beauty in Black.
Where, yeah, she got the BBL.
She almost died.
She's in the hospital the whole scene.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole season because she got a BBL that went wrong.
Yeah, almost died in the hospital. They were laughing at her.
They did. They laughed at her.
They said that's how Kanye's mother passed away.
Yeah, she had two. Yeah, man, you gotta. Ooh, that could be a whole episode, man.
Right, for sure. And it could go left or right. So just be careful if we decide to do that episode.
All right, that's true.
So be careful.
Listen, I love the controversy. As long as it spikes up the views, I'm here for it.
That. You can't be mad at that ever.
What about you, Tevin?
This might be another controversial one. All white parties. I feel like there's one every single day of the week sometimes. And living right by a marina and just seeing all of like the grown and sexy crowd and they're all white walking over to the boat to go for these all white parties. I'm just like, how many all white parties can there be?
With their cup of Hennessy every time too. Listen, we love the aunties and the uncles, but come on now.
Right.
Every single thing, every time the summer comes, it can't be an all white party. Why can't we do like an all, orange party or something?
Right. But I have a question. If everyone has like alcohol, and drinking and food, why would you want to wear white anyway? I'm missing on my outfit.
Half of the outfits aren't even that nice. It's just like a t-shirt and some white jeans. And it's like, you didn't even try.
You didn't even try. Yeah. Everybody go get the linen.
Right.
I had one standard outfit for all white parties this whole summer. You invite me out, I'm wearing the same outfit. I wore it once, put it in the cleaners, take it back out. I'm gonna wear this again. I had a pant version and a short version. So we're gonna rock and roll with this every time.
Oh man. You said a trend that I want to see go away?
Yeah, anything.
I know he might be upset about this, but I want to see what they call recruiters to stop ghosting people. I've seen so many stories on LinkedIn of people saying that they're reaching out to recruiters and they're not getting no response, or they're interviewing and not hearing something from someone, And, those are people's lives at stake. People are waiting to hear back if they got a job or not. So, recruiters, do your job and actually recruit and stop being on mute, all right? So that's what I have to say about that.
You better preach. It's already hard out here.
It's hard, yeah. Come on now.
Wasting people's time. Yeah. So, what's making everyone anxious?
Oh, what's making me anxious?
Yeah.
The current state of where the world is. We're in the middle of a presidential election that can go either left or right and change the structure of how our country and a lot of the foundation of the things that we were raised up on, how it can look very different for people of all colors, creeds, races, and not even just like the fact that like they said we live in New York, and New York is a very like democratic state, but like it can all change, and a lot can change for a lot of people. And I think that for me is a very scary thing because next week can look totally different for all of us. And I think that's like something that definitely is making me anxious for sure.
I respect that. Like New York, we're just one state out of the many, right? So we have to think of it like globally. Like you're right. Like people got to go out there and vote, and they have no idea. People are like, oh, it's gonna be all right. I'm like, the wrong person in power would really set the world back so much. And I know us and other people have tried so hard to move the needle forward. We can't afford to go backwards, man. Not in these times. So I definitely agree with you 1,000%.
Not at all.
Yeah, and by the time this comes out, we'll know who the winner is. But
that's true. Hopefully, it's we're not anxious though.
Hopefully the anxiety dwindles down a little bit, but also it's still that's the thing that's making me more anxious is the backlash either way.
Yeah. Either way is going to be something.
Right? I think people will start to show their true colors and things that they've been suppressing for years. Like Jim Crow wasn't that long ago.
Right.
There are still people who their parents are being raised. I mean, they were being raised by grandparents and parents who lived through that, and now they are still pressing that message forward, just in a different way.
Right.
So I think now that doesn't have to be suppressed anymore. So now what does that look like? And not just for people of color, like as far as Jim Crow, but just like for Hispanics and, for people of Asian descent, like even white on white, like hate, right? So I think that all those things play like the social meter of where you stand socially and economically. So I think that all those things are going to be, something that's going to be challenged in the next few weeks. So I think that's just something that just will change how our society looks, and definitely something to be anxious about for sure.
Copy. What about you, Tevin? Making you anxious this week?
I'll say uncertainty. Not on my part, but just like dealing with uncertain people. Like you try to plan for certain things, or you try to, really mostly trying to plan for things. And then you have to change things at the last minute because people don't know what they want to do. And then that just affects everything, especially when it comes to things like work maybe, or personal or vacation plans or things like that. It just seems like there's just uncertainty all around. And I've been talking a lot with my therapist about that.
Well, I know a lot of times uncertainty comes to people who aren't confident. Like at the end of the day, you have to just make up your mind, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. You have to choose something because especially when you're a leader and you're uncertain, that trickles down to everybody who's working for you or underneath you. And now if you're running with an uncertain mindset, then your whole team becomes that way, and it can make everyone really, really anxious. So I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah. How about you?
What's making me anxious? Well, last week I thought it was going to be something that was cool. I went to a Halloween party. I was a firefighter. I was feeling myself. And people thought they should feel me as well. And a lot of people tried to touch me inappropriately. And I had to nicely tell people to keep their hands to themselves. And some people just didn't get that memo.
Was Busta Rhymes playing?
You thought it was a Diddy party the way things was happening in there. But yeah, I'm like, just don't touch me. Like, I work hard for, my physique and my mental health. That doesn't mean that you could come up to someone and just touch them without consent. So please do not put your hands on Emperor, okay? And that's...
Look, but don't touch.
Look, but don't touch. LG. Oh, man. Okay.
So you ready to get into the topic of the day?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, there's not really a definition this week, but you can introduce it.
Right. So, we're giving our people's Merriam and Webster a break today. So The time.
Yeah, she said she was sick of you. She needed a break.
Nah, she said she's on vacation though. She said
That's
she
not
got
what she told me.
That's not what she told you.
No.
She said she
she
took it for Halloween.
She didn't use her sick days?
Nah, did she have 6 days?
I don't know, but she's
Because she had the contract deal, so I don't know about
she's
that.
out on
but
disability. She
disability,
had to get back surgery
back
for
surgery.
carrying the weight of everything.
See, first of all, Miriam, half of last season you wasn't even here, so I don't know why you talk. You know, I'm gonna call her later.
I hope so.
I'm gonna call her because she acting up. Today we're talking about just building healthy wellness habits and what that looks like.
Yeah, and that's more than just physical. That's mental. That's everything.
Emotional, everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So why is building healthy wellness habits important to everyone?
Good question.
I think that building healthy habits is just gonna create a healthy mind, a healthy life. I think the things that you put into the world and also what you do to your body will carry over into everything that when you walk out the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I always preach to my class, like, the energy you put into the work that you're doing for yourself will carry over into your everyday life, right? You walk into there with a positive mindset, even just taking the negative, like you have a long day at work, you have a bad day at work, you come into the gym, you better yourself, you walk home feeling a lot better. And I preach to people to walk out of the gym, just for myself, obviously being a fitness instructor, to walk out of the gym or my class or whatever 1% better, whether that's mentally, physically, emotionally. It don't got to be perfect,
Right.
but just know that it's going to be okay and that even when things get hard, you've already survived 100% of your bad days, right? Because you made it to today, right? So I think that life's going to beat you up and down and all over sometimes, but just finding what positive things you can do or things that when things got rough or got challenging, what did you lean on? What was your foundation to say, I know I can always come back to this, right? It could be family, it could be friends, it can be hopefully positive vices. Some people use negative vices, right? But hopefully it's something that's productive and continue to push you forward. I think that's like creating those healthy habits is very, very important for just your mental and physical health for sure.
Copy. I agree. You need healthy habits. A lot of people, unfortunately, don't know what that looks like. They may think that, they're doing something that's healthy and it's kind of toxic. Like, for example, I'm hanging out with my friends every weekend and we're partying, we're drinking. They're like, I'm hanging out with my friends, right? It's all good and gravy. But like you say, you're partying, you're drinking all the time, which you drinking excessively isn't necessarily a healthy habit. You being around your friends, sure. But if they're promoting and pushing always you to be, intoxicated or be under the influence, that's not really a healthy habit. So, it starts with just you as yourself saying, hey, what's healthy for me, right? Because it might not be for that next person. Is it being around a particular type of people or person? Is it, prayer is always a healthy habit for me, right? Is it prayer? Is it meditation? Is it, saying no to hanging out? Is it you being isolated? Sometimes you being by yourself is healthy because you need to, recharge and reset, right? So it's just things like that. And, going back to what you said about the gym, just you showing up. Sometimes it's hard. People live close to a gym or they don't even go inside and have memberships and waste them, right? You pulling up today, that's a healthy habit. You came, whether you're there for 15 minutes or like me, 2 hours, I'm a little crazy. At least you pulled up, right? And then, like you said, get 1% better every day. 15 minutes can turn to 18 minutes, can turn to 30 minutes and so forth and so far. So I do agree with that.
Yeah, I think so. So I think having a healthy wellness habit is important just for you to do anything, even for you to like wake up and get your day started. If you're starting your day off in an unhealthy way, then that's pretty much going to probably determine how the rest of your day is going to go. So you're not going to necessarily have a productive, successful day at work or whatever else that you do. The way you communicate with people throughout the day, the way you feel about yourself throughout the day, it's all interconnected with your health, your wellness habits.
Right.
So if you're, the first thing you're getting on is looking at, porn. The first thing you wake up. That's not a healthy wellness habit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right?
Okay. Yeah, got it. Got it. I was gonna say Instagram. He went straight to porn. Okay.
Yeah, Instagram or anything like that.
Plug your favorite
I just went
website
to the
here.
most extreme, yeah.
Well, that's the first thing that someone wants to go to in the morning.
You trying to tell us something?
People do that. It's not me. People do that.
You know what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Clearly that's not a healthy
most
habit.
people.
That's not waking up in the morning going straight to porn. No. But I do agree with you. Like just even waking up in a positive mood, right? Some people wake up bringing the worries of yesterday to today. Like as soon as they wake up, oh my gosh, I'm like, wait a second. You even give yourself a chance to like take in the moment that you woke up, that you're still alive, and that you have another 24 hours to do something that you really love or you enjoy. to go into what you said, like waking up, and some people subconsciously run to social media, and whether they posted the day before or whatever to see what was going on, you just went straight to that. So right now, if you go on there and you see something that's not great, or you see something that's really controversial, or your post you didn't do that well, you're getting sucked into that.
Or you're like opening up and you're seeing something that happened in a different time zone already, like a mass shooting or something.
Right.
And that's the first thing you're waking up to instead of pouring into yourself.
Yeah, you're not pouring into yourself. We talk about that a lot too. Like when I wake up, the first thing I do is I get up, I go, okay, I'm up. That's great. And then I pray and I say thank you, like just immediately. Then obviously you want to brush your teeth and stuff like that too, right? Because that's,
That's
hygiene.
also very healthy.
That's very healthy because some people, some of y'all don't brush your teeth. That's nasty. But yes.
Mouthwash doesn't count.
Mouthwash does
Mouthwash
not
doesn't
count. Gum definitely does not count. And eating sweets doesn't count either.
Gum?
Yeah, some people chew gum and thinking that's okay. We've had this conversation before that I've been around people who will go, come on, Emperor. I'm like, clearly you skipped the toothbrush and mouthwash and floss part.
Probably the same people who wake up and look at porn, but yeah.
Right, probably the same.
He
for sure
probably
it's the same
does.
people.
Yeah.
Maybe I should ask him.
Yeah. Come back here and report and tell us who it is.
I'll tell you in 2 weeks. Oh my gosh.
You lose your train of thought?
I was finished talking.
We all talked about like the mental and the physical and a little bit of how they like interconnect. I guess we can dive in a little bit more about that. How do you feel like mental and physical wellness interconnect with one another?
I think that for one, even going back to what we were talking about before, I think being healthy is also just a mindset, right? People need to even just know what that looks like and feels like. I think that a lot of it just comes from just a clouded brain sometimes, right? We live in the era where things are getting thrown at you all the time. So I think learning who you are, like learning yourself and being true to that is the key for everybody. And then figuring out what steps you can take that makes sense for you, right? And some people are like, I don't think I'm ready to go into the gym yet. So then work on yourself. What things do you need for you to walk around every day and feel good and confident and proud of the person that you are? So when you wake up in the morning, you're thankful for life. And when you lay down to go to bed, you know that I had a very positive and productive day. And even if it wasn't that positive or that productive, how can I be better and not let that dwell on your spirit? So now you aren't dragged down for the next day. All right. So like, I think that's the key. Like, tomorrow remembers today, right? Somebody told me that the other day, and it like sat in my brain. I was like, if I go to bed and have negative thoughts, I'm gonna wake up with negative thoughts. So I think that creating those healthy habits of just your mindset alone and knowing what you need to continue to be positive, because that stuff will weigh on you. And if not, you just add in more and more and more, until the point where you can't carry anymore, which goes back to the fitness part, right? Like if you're adding weight to a bar that you can't pick up, what's it gonna do? It's gonna make you feel like, I'm doing too much. Now I'm not gonna want to go to the gym and do it again.
Right.
So I think that those things are just learning that it starts with one. You have to crawl before you walk before you run before you fly, right? So I think that those are like the important things of like, we all have a journey of how long it takes to get there, but just learning how those things can connect with one another and find what feels good for you and then build off that and, grow from there.
Copy. I do think the mental and physical intertwine. I think a lot of it does start to me mentally. Like what you think, your physicality will kind of, proceed. So if you're waking up like in a negative attitude, you kind of see your face all scrunched up sometimes. You're more hunched over. Your posture isn't the greatest. And you already have like this attitude. So you probably moving quickly sometimes or slamming doors. It starts mentally, right? So I feel like your mental affects your physical and vice versa. Like if you sit there and say, okay, today is the day, right? And I don't have to do 1,000 things. I could just get one thing accomplished, like one thing that I really want to get accomplished today, and really focus on that, and and just kind of take steps to do that, right? What does that look like for you? Is it something I spend 2 hours on? Is it something that I use a calendar and cross out time and go, I don't care what's going on unless it's an absolute emergency that I want to sit there and focus on and get it done. But you have to. It starts with yourself. Like you have to sit there, have a game plan. Like for me, in my apartment, on my wall, I have like things I want to get done, like financial goals, spiritual goals, health goals, right? And there's days where I'm like, oh man, I'm not having the best day. I'm like, okay, did you look at your wall? I said, you know what? I didn't check in on that today. Let's look at it. You said you was going to pray. You pray, okay, check. You say you're going to do vocal warm-ups. You did that? No, you didn't. Okay, well, you have 15 minutes, do it. You say you're going to go for a walk for an hour. You do that? No. You say you wasn't going to look at your emails at work. You do that? Okay, great. Well, stick to what you have, and then it can kind of change the day, right? So you have to sit there. Again, we're human. We're going to mess up. We're going to make, mistakes, but that's how we grow as people, right? I call them learning situations where that's how you get better. We don't know everything. So you're going to fall off the wagon here or there, but to lead with a negative mindset is a no-bueno for me.
Yeah, definitely. Even thinking back, sometimes you wake up, you look in the mirror and you look at yourself, you might see something that you don't like and that affects your whole mood.
That's me sometimes.
And then you're just beating yourself up the whole day. Then you're going to sleep and you wake up the next day looking even worse because your mental wellness was not there the whole day. And it's affecting.
You throwing shots at me?
If you feel guilty, that's on you.
I'll tell you that I had I felt this way before, so
that ain't on me. And then also, if you're trying to go to the gym that day, if your mind's not there, you're not going to have a successful workout. Even if you have that coach there that's going to sit there and motivate you to really push yourself and reach new heights. It's the mental has to be there, and if it's not, you're not going to be able to do anything. You're not going to. It's probably going to be hard for you to get up and walk to work. You're going to be tired the whole day. It's
exhausting.
Yeah.
And I feel like,
talking about it.
People make excuses a lot of times too as to why they can't do certain things. You don't make an excuse to why, you can drink and turn up all the time. So where's your excuse for where you want to put yourself first? And I think, a lot of that starts at home too, where, starts with family, pushing at what healthy habits look like. And again, generation, it changes over and over again. So sometimes we have to school our parents as well. But it does, we do, especially with eating. But it definitely does start, at home sometimes to show what does healthy habits look like.
So when we all started forming our healthy wellness habits, did any of us find any barriers to trying to build those habits initially? And if so, how did you overcome those barriers?
Barriers?
Yes.
Oh, I got some.
For me, it was creating boundaries.
Absolutely.
I think because I spend so much time in the gym and because I spend so much time being personable, just learning the balance of decompressing, saying no, realizing that I might have a relationship with a lot of my clients, but at the same time, they're not all my friends. And learning to be some people I'm much closer to than others. And that might be male, female, gay, straight, black, white, whatever. But that's just based off of what the context of our conversations, things that we have in common, things of that nature. So I think that for me was a big one, just knowing that I go into the gym and I have such energy and I'm connecting with people, but learning what energy I needed for myself. So creating those boundaries to say, I'm going to come in the gym today and just go straight to working out. Or when my day is over, I'm going to go home and just decompress just because I need to, because I gave so much. I think going back to our last topic, I think just talking about people who you view as this person's always positive, this person's life is perfect, or whatever the case may be, they're going through things too.
Yep.
And I think just giving yourself also a little bit of grace, because it's gonna be necessary. You're not gonna have perfect days. You're not gonna have every day is not gonna be a positive day.
Right.
But just know that it's gonna get better, right? So I think that those are the things that just like I said, just creating boundaries on my energy, my time, who I'm around. Just learning to spend more time with my family, and I think just for everyone, learning that idea of being around your family lets you just feel like yourself. And I think that those things were super important for me. Is just creating boundaries, spending more time with my family kind of helped me navigate those negative ideas that I had about putting so much time, energy, and effort into work that I could be able to step away and still be myself and not Jeff, the instructor, just, whoever my family viewed me as, my friends, the people who really matter. I think just those things were important for me.
I had to really start creating boundaries, the Great Wall of China boundaries, literally. I'm going cross to cross because it was just too much. A lot of it was with people who I had in my life who, you do things, and I had a habit of trying to like involve everyone and, you know, bring everyone up with you. And you had to understand that your path is not everyone's path, and where you're going, everyone can't follow you. And I think I had a really hard time with that. I spent a lot of my time fighting them and go, why are you not getting it? Why are you not understanding? Like, we're moving to greatness. What's wrong with you? And I saw myself like, that's not healthy. That's kind of toxic for myself, because now I'm sitting there and I'm not focusing on my goal and my dreams and my aspirations. You know, I'm just focusing on someone who this ain't for them. So just creating those boundaries, saying, you know what, I'm gonna leave you here. Maybe I'll revisit you back. Maybe I won't. You know, another thing was just me becoming more spiritual helped me get over a lot of boundaries as well. So just leaning more into God and letting him just take the wheel all the time for me really helped me a lot. But just like, this honestly was my hardest thing was cutting people off. Like, I had to go, okay, what do you want to do, right? Write these things down. What type of people do you want to be around this? My biggest thing was someone who supports me and loves me for me. And 99% of people did not check off both of these boxes, or even one. I was like, you know what, this isn't healthy. So that's one thing I had to do to overcome.
I think I had to stop overthinking, because I always thought like, oh, if I do this one thing, it's gonna take away from something else.
Right.
And having that mindset really hindered me from starting some healthy wellness habits, or slowed me down from starting them. And sometimes then I start thinking about, had I not been overthinking, I could have started this much faster, and maybe I would be in a different mindset, be in a different place. Can't overthink about that either. But
so you can't overthink about that part.
Yeah. But overthinking is something that I'm still working on to this day. I talk with a lot about that with my therapist. But which is a healthy wellness habit in its own. But yeah, overthinking.
I mean, it's hard not to sometimes, but I will say this, one thing that I've really tried, I did it a lot in my past, and I've tried really hard not to, is saying, if I would have did this 5 years ago, I'll be in a different spot. But the reality is, I didn't do it 5 years ago, but I am doing it right now. I don't want to have the conversation from 5 years from today saying another 5 years, right? So yes, you could have done it 5 years ago. Maybe God, it wasn't time. Maybe he felt it was time for you. But you understanding that, you know what, maybe I need to fix this is the first step. Some people never get to that. You hear the woulda, shoulda, couldas every single day. I could have been this. I could have been great. I could have been as great as Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan or LeBron, whatever. People always say they could have. I go, but you didn't do anything. You just sat there and just let time take you by because you overthought, or you was too concerned about what everyone else thought about you. And at the end of the day, you can't allow people's opinions to dictate your life, because absolutely not.
Overthinking it for 5 years. You can't think about that, but I think my issue was I was thinking about it for 55 years.
55 years?
Yeah. So that's
how old are you?
Myself up. I'm quite old. You know, when we talked about being bit by a vampire a couple episodes ago, I went and did it.
You know what? I believe you, because I have not seen you in the daytime since, and you are such a sunscreen person. You haven't applied no sunscreen.
I applied sunscreen before I came here.
But you say you got bit by a vampire, so why, you don't need sunscreen.
My skin's extra sensitive because I got bit by that vampire.
Okay, well, see, I didn't learn about that in vampire school.
See, there's sun out there.
There's no sun, literally. It's dark.
Well, I can't see past the plant, but when we came here, so I was overthinking for 55 years.
You know what? The good thing is, it's been 55, it's a long time, 55 years. Some people never get to the point where they have that realization. Some people don't understand things until they're on their deathbed, and they go, oh my gosh, why? Well, you still have, since you're a vampire, so many more centuries to live long, don't let them kill you.
So don't let it be 56.
Yeah, you know what? Don't let it be 56.
Yeah, it stops today.
It stops today. I'm proud of you.
Oof.
Yeah. 55 years. You're so
My Siki Mo.
Oh my gosh.
Talking about that, I did some research on like building sustainable wellness habits.
Okay.
And for people who are struggling, they said start small. The importance of realistic goals and gradual changes are important things to think about when you're starting small. You can talk about habit stacking with yourself, which means just like linking new habits to existing routines to make it easier and give it a lower barrier to entry, and then track your progress. And then you can also highlight the value of consistency over perfection.
I agree with you. Some people want to go from 0 to 1 million. And I'm like, okay, that's great. I would love to get to the spot, right? I'll use like becoming, because everyone wants to be rich, right? Or wealthy. I use that as an example. I want to I don't know, have $10 million in the bank. That's amazing. I think I do too. But the thing is, taking the necessary steps to get there. You start with 0, hopefully a little bit more. You get to 10, okay, great, I'm at 10. How do I get to 20? How do I get to 100? Go that way. People just want to go from 0 to $1 million, or they want to go from I can sing, so let me do it real quick and then get a record contract worth $100 million. Like, people don't want to put in the necessary steps and stuff like that. So you have to create those habits because it's going to protect your peace at the end of the day. You don't want to overwhelm yourself and overload yourself with things. Next thing you know, you're sitting there, depression comes, anxiety gets worse, insecurities can, play a big part. Just take your time. Like, there's no rush. Like, and I get it. We don't know what time's over our head, but just enjoy the journey.
The fun is in the journey and not in the destination.
People don't get it.
Yeah. Because once you get there, it's like, well, now I've never been here before.
Right.
At least you can navigate the space and know that I'm enjoying myself as I'm controlling my circumstances around me. And you can see and feel yourself growing, because you'll get to the destination and then go back to being depressed because now you're like, well, I did that. I put all my energy and time into getting to this point, but I have no concept of where I want to go from here. So enjoying the journey will keep you grounded in knowing, all right, my feet on the ground, I'm taking these forward steps. Whether that means I'm going uphill, that means I know that once I get to the top, I still got to come back down and then climb that next hill, because there's going to be more. I think that's just the hardest part for people, is just like being so obsessed with the destination and not enjoying what's happening right now in the present. So
I heard someone, I forgot who it was. She said something like, I think it was one of the artists, I think it was her, it was one of them, where they compare like a journey, like getting in a cab or a plane, to like walking, right? You can go on a train, right, from 14th Street to Soho. Go on the train, boom, you're there. Versus walking from 14th Street and actually enjoying the journey, seeing different things, seeing what's going on with you, and you can get inspired as you walk, right? So this really, and I'm kind of messing it up, but you get what I'm trying to say. This really like enjoying the journey, and the kind of, you said, keep your feet planted, and it might inspire you to kind of keep going. You might say, I got to the destination. You know what? I enjoyed this so much. I learned so much about myself. I got here. This is great. Now what's next? Versus just rushing and getting into things and not really understanding or enjoying, like, how did you get here? Because, the more you put work in and the more effort you put in, you grow as a person, and then you want to flourish and you want to keep moving. So I do agree with just enjoy the journey.
I think also, though we set goals, I'm an avid planner myself, we have to be open to flexibility.
Oh, because goal chefs.
part, yep.
Because if we're just focused on one specific thing, we're going to be very upset when it doesn't go our way. And you just really need to, like you said, enjoy the journey, embrace all of the little bumps that are in the road, because it will make that destination very much more rewarding, and you'll feel even better once you get there.
I agree. 'Cause we talked about this before when it came to, like, me pursuing music. Like, I sing, I write all that great stuff. And you was like, well, like, what's the dream for you, right? And I was like, to be on stage, entertaining, do all that stuff like that. And you was like, well, what if that doesn't happen? And I was like, we keep forgetting that this might not even be where you're supposed to be at. You was like, would you be okay, like, with, like, just writing or producing for other people or being in that realm? And I was like, you know what? I love music so much that I wouldn't mind that. But I had to sit there and think about, wow, what if that you're walking on that journey and you get thinking, you know what? Actually, I don't want to do this. Like, what else could you possibly do, right? Or what else in that realm you could possibly do? Because I could sit there and say, I could be whatever I want. And God could be laughing like, huh, okay, that's not what I have for you.
So what is a wellness habit that was the biggest impact in your lives?
Outside of prayer?
Well, you can talk about prayer. You
I
talk about that a lot.
I talk about prayer every episode.
Yeah, prayer is a very, very big, very, very big part of my life. Shout out to my grandma. My grandma is about to become a pastor of a church.
That's amazing.
And so she kind of instilled faith in me from very, very young. And I think somebody said to me one time when I was younger, grandma's prayers won't get you into heaven. Right? Like, her relationship with God is not going to be yours. And I got to a point where I realized that I needed to have my own relationship with him. And then starting to pray every day, and also being around people, like, you obviously, as being a believer, having a conversation with another believer, or just getting that that like spark of energy from someone that you're like, it's something about you that I feel like we connect, and why is that? And then you start talking to them, you're like, oh, you're a believer.
Right.
That's why we get along, right? And I think that those things, like even just your friends, right? Even relationships, just waking up and having people who are like, I'm going to pray with you and for you, right? And knowing that those things are happening, it kind of gives you another sense of like calm, because you know that God will never leave you or forsake you or put more on you than you can bear, right? All these messages that we've heard since growing up in the church as a kid, but then you start thinking about how real those things are when life gets hard, life gets challenging, and knowing that your footsteps are guided. And that's, for me, like, I live in the mindset of walking by faith and not by sight. I can walk outside and I just know that I'm covered, right? And so I think that gives me so much safety in life that, like, obviously I'm not just walking around, like, just walking in the middle of the street about to go try to walk on water. I'm not out here doing that. But at the same time, it's like, I know that I'm going to be okay. But I also understand that faith without works is dead, right? So you can believe as much as you want to, you still have to do your part.
Yeah.
So I think that those are the things that, like prayer is, like you said, prayer is so important, but I also know that I have to do my part as well as, the prayer part. And so I think that prayer can be at the foundation, and then you start to find what those healthy habits are. And then also praying on those too. Like, Lord, help me find out what works for me. Also removing friends, removing energy, removing myself from situations that no longer serve me or my energy or my purpose or my will of God, right? So, like, all those things play a huge role. So I think, like, it sounds crazy and it sounds cliche for people who might not be believers, but it's such a huge thing.
Yeah, I talk about it every single episode we've had so far. Prayer has literally saved my life. And again, like you said, it was just not me praying, right? It's the work that I put behind it. Like, for example, I want to be a singer. Great. I want to pray for it. Okay, cool. But what are you doing to make that happen? Are you asking him to open your eyes with like vocal teachers or trainers? Like, what work are you doing? Or, hey, I want to be more healthy. I want to go to the gym and, be better. Okay, great. You go to the gym. You're showing up. Are you doing research? Are you, working with certain instructors to get better? Like, what are you doing to put in the work? And then I feel like he sees you put in the work. He goes, okay, great, you're working. Let me throw something else in front of you, right? But then you pray on that too. Like for me, there's times where, I wasn't in the best moods, and I noticed that I pushed that off onto other people. So even praying, like saying, listen, I wasn't my best version today, and I didn't like that. Self-reflecting is real, and I have those honest conversations because I have to. Because if I want to get better, I have to put in the work. And I feel like if he knows that you're working, you good. But my biggest thing you said was the believing part and being around people who also believe. I have now a community that prays for me. And I felt it when I got my Saks job years ago, where they was like, oh, it's yours. We praying for you, baby, every day. I've never had that happen to me ever in my life. And I ended up getting the job. And I looked and I was like, wow. Like, because, a lot of times it was just me, but having people who are not, quote unquote, my biological family sitting there like, we pray for you every day. I said, I can feel it.
Right.
Or when you're going through a hard time and you get a call like, God told me to reach out to you today. And I'm like, you have no idea that I was struggling, right? So to me, that was my first healthy habit. Or where I live at now, I live in a really good neighborhood. I just go past it all the time, like going to work. I said, I want to live here. I said, God, I want to live here. I know the rent is crazy. I just want to live here. I promise you, if I live here, I'm going to pursue my dreams. And he made a way for me to live there. And I was like, well, I have to own up my end of the bargain, which is you better put in the work to pursue your dreams before he take that away from you. You ain't there anymore, right? So it's just keeping the faith and believing. And again, I don't have to see it. I can feel it every single day. Even I always say, I pray, keep certain people or keep the negativity away from me. A lot of times it's him removing a bunch of negativity to allow positive people to come into your life. And I've noticed that now it's not many, but the people who are there, who are praying or showing up for my podcast to support, I'm like, that's the type of energy that I want to keep around me, because we use that together and move forward. So, prayer is always my thing and my beliefs.
I want to emphasize prayer and believing that God will answer what you're asking. Because a lot of people pray and it's like, I guess it might work. But you actually have to believe.
You have to believe it's going to work. You have to believe. Like, even if it's something that's outlandish to our minds or what we think, you have to believe. Like, And then a lot of times we only believe when we actually see it happen with someone else. It doesn't have to take that all the time. If you think, it has to start somewhere, right? So if this is what you want to do, you pray, even if the world's telling you no, because God's word is final.
I think one habit that I had to start doing, or that is the biggest impact for me, probably is self-compassion.
To self-compassion?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I'm like someone who always had a plan. I wanted to complete this by this age. You make mistakes, whether it's mistakes at school, financial mistakes, work mistakes, personal mistakes, whatever. And then I would overthink it. And then I would sit there and think about, why did I do that? Even stuff from when I was like a kid, sometimes I would think about it. So I had to give myself that self-compassion, because just overthinking and beating myself up, whether it's mentally beating myself up or verbally beating myself up, just really doing that is hindering me from other blessings that may be coming my way. And I really just had to like forgive myself for the mistakes I've made in the past to really move on and grow.
That's huge. I do like that you said that you apologize to yourself, because a lot of people don't do that, and they walk around being mad at the world, and in reality, they really are mad at themselves because they never forgave themselves for mistakes they did 15 years ago. So they're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders, which is absolutely terrible.
So no, I'm not trying to be like Miriam and have to get back surgery. So
I don't think Miriam had back surgery. Miriam, I'm calling you in 20 minutes, because she didn't have back surgery, man. She probably in the Bahamas right now relaxing. She made some good money.
yeah, after her surgery. But next question. How do you prioritize wellness on overwhelming days?
I think just it goes back to giving yourself grace. I think it's one of those things where if you have healthy habits, then you know what you need, right? And I think that's like the thing that's so important, right? Just knowing yourself, which is a journey, because the person that you might be a year ago might look different than today or 2 years ago or even last week, because you learn, I did something new for myself and it worked. So let me see if this is what I need to do continuously. Right. So I think just knowing yourself, like I said, for me, I like to just decompress. So if I have a crazy day or I feel my energy off, I know where that's coming from, right? If I'm doing something extra or I'm teaching more or I'm doing an event or I'm working on something, I need to make sure that all my ducks are in a row. Like, for example, if my room like is dirty, I feel clouded in my head. Right? Like I have to go home and be like, all right, cool, let me clean up. And that in itself just makes me feel like a weight is off of me. And I feel like you walk out the house, it's like waking up in the morning and making your bed, right? Like you make your bed, it gives you one less thing to worry about, and you also have one thing that you accomplish in the day. So you can walk outside and feel better about it. But then you walking through you make your bed, but your room is still dirty. It's like, all right, I made my bed, but like I'm still feeling like I'm stepping over my shoes or whatever. Like I went out last night, I put my clothes down, and I'm gonna just come back home and do it. But then you walk out the house and you realize, like, yo, why do I feel that way? And then you get home and you like, oh, yeah, you know what? I got the 4 sweatshirts I wore this week just sitting here that I know all I got to do is come home and just hang it up, but I didn't, right? So it's like also just being disciplined with yourself and just finding, like you said, like what I said, like what you need, and also just giving yourself some grace and knowing that it's going to be okay, but just sticking to your routine. So, yeah.
Copper. For me, for overwhelming days, there's sometimes like I'll sit there and just laugh, to be honest with you. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like I'll laugh out loud, like, you know what? This is one of them days. And I think realizing it sooner than later helps me out. I go, you know what? We're going to roll with the punches because tomorrow's going to be a better day. And I look at it that way too. But sometimes I have to just stop and just do a little self-reflecting. Like, all right, right now I'm all over the place. I'm speaking too quickly. I can see that I'm really short with myself. Or I'm speaking at an elevated tone. I go, what's going on? Like, Emperor, this isn't right. Because you can feel when stuff is overwhelming. I go, I don't want to be like this for the rest of the day. So it's just like, all right, so what can we do not to? Maybe put on some good music, which I do a lot of times too, to kind of ease my mind. Or maybe I'll play my little game on my phone to kind of distract me for a little bit. Or maybe say, you know what? I'm just going to watch some mindless TV because at the end of the day, this is one of them days. Tomorrow's going to be better, God willing. And I'm just going to just do a mental reset. So that's what I do. I just do things like that. What about you?
I think slamming my laptop shut.
Slamming your laptop shut?
Slamming it shut.
Close it.
Yeah. And then also just listening to that voice in my head that tells me that I need to relax and do something that's better for myself. So whether it's like you said, listening to music or just laying there and just breathing, maybe sometimes I meditate, or even something as simple as drinking some water can kind of sometimes make me feel better. I've done a lot more. I've been doing a lot more breathing exercises as well. I guess after talking with my therapist and just telling her what I do, like when my anxiety begins to trigger, she said that the breathing, drinking water, and things are like actual very helpful tactics in like calming myself down. So that's things that I mostly do when
I think water works definitely. Because it kind of like resets your body. So drink your water, y'all. It's good for you.
drink it. Well, it's that time of the show.
It's one of my favorite times of the show.
Well, your favorite time.
You're so shady.
Well, so enlighten us.
So we're going to talk about being your own cheerleader and being your biggest cheerleader. At the end of the day, it starts with you. I know a lot of times we try to get our energy from other people, what we see. You know, family obviously is a big one, but at the end of the day, you have to be your own cheerleader. You have to big yourself up. You have to be the one to inspire yourself. It all starts with you. If you want to tackle anything, be great in your field, whatever you want to aspire to, it has to start with yourself first. Write down some things saying why you're doing it, right? The why needs to be because you want to actually do it or because it actually makes you happy. I do understand that our family and close friends and significant others sometimes impact us in, you know, more ways than one. But when it comes down to something that you want to do or that you're not 100% sure for, you need to be the one cheering it. I can't want it more for you because at the end of the day, if that's the case, then it should be my dream, right? Or you're not really passionate about it. So I always leave you with this. If you want something, go after it. If you're unsure, research. We're not living in the Stone Age. Google is real. You can Google anything, find out how, when, go on social media. Healthily? That's a thing? I'm making that word up, ain't I? Be healthy on social media if you're looking for something as well. But yeah, y'all, it starts with you, man, because at the end of the day, if it doesn't, you allow people to come in, infiltrate, impact you in negative ways. You could end up joining a cult, which I've seen people, unfortunately, I know who are in a cult right now. Things like that can happen. So please, yeah, I know someone's in a cult.
Oh.
She's in the cult leader has no teeth.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know, it's terrible. I don't know how he's running the cult. It's ridiculous. But yes, y'all, it starts with y'all. So at the end of the day, if not you, then who? And that's Enlightenment with E. Yeah, they're in a cult. It's bad. I try to help them out, but I just can't pull them out.
Well, like you said, you got to be your own biggest cheerleader.
That's right.
Well, it's time to take a viewer question.
Okay.
So it's time of the show where we answer your question. So we're going to read this one. This one is from Couch Potato.
Couch Potato.
In Columbus, Ohio. Hi, I'm really struggling with getting myself motivated and it's starting to impact different areas of my life. I have this project I've been wanting to work on for months. It's something I generally care about and know would be fulfilling. But every time I sit down to start, I get overwhelmed and end up doing nothing. The same thing goes for the gym. I know it would be good for me, but I just can't seem to get myself to go. It's like I'm stuck in a rut, and the more I put things off, the harder it feels to begin. How can I stop getting in my own way and finally make progress?
I think just start small. I think because the passion is there, it's probably one of those things where you get super excited for, once again, the destination.
Right.
And I think that you guys just start small. Even if that means just putting the title and then from there, just whatever it is, whether it's a movie, a show, it's a work project, just start. I know that sounds easy, right? Or cliche to be like, oh, just start. What does that mean? I think putting your shovel into the ground, right? Once you put your shovel into the ground, you're going to dig up something. Even if you dig up a little bit, at least you know that you started, and then you can just build upon that. And I think that that's the hardest part for most people is just like getting out of their own way. And I think once you start, it feels much better, and know that starting doesn't mean that you're going to get it all done in one shot. It's not going to be one day. It's not going to be 2 days. It's not going to be, as they say, like Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right.
I think that that's the thing that people forget. Like we fall into that space of people fall in love with the destination and not the journey. And sometimes the journey is very, very long. And there are going to be days where it's going to feel like you're making the most progress, and it might feel like you're going backwards. But at the end of the day, you're there and you're in it. And I think you have to weather the storm, because at the end of the day, once the storm ends, rainbows come and sunshine gotta, what the Bible says, joy cometh in the morning, right? So I think that you have to weather all the storms and know that it's gonna be all right. You just gotta go through that, because it's all gonna be worth it at the end. So, yeah.
Okay. To add to it, I feel like, maybe set some, we live in a time where you can use your phone, watch or whatever, set some alerts, like make your thing go off that says gym time for you to get up and go to the gym. Or if that's too much, find someone who you trust or a friend and go, listen, I need you maybe the first couple of times. Come to my apartment, like, we going out, let's go. So your friend pulls up, let's go to the gym together. You don't have to work out together, but maybe you need that motivation to get there. And they say they're having a hard time even going to the gym. I tell people all the time, for me working in fitness, like, do a class. Like, that's the best way to really get your feet wet. You have other people in the class. Just being around other people doing the same thing kind of motivates you. Your instructor's going to help you out. Everyone started, right? Someone had to start somewhere. So you might have the person like, oh, I know how to do your first day here. You're in good hands. He's a great instructor, whatever. Or with your passion project, if it's something you really want to do, write down what exactly you want to do and what the timeline is, and hold yourself accountable. Accountability starts with yourself. So if this is something that you really are passionate about, you have to sit there and say, what's in my way? What is stopping me, honestly, right now, right, from putting down my phone, not watching social media, not watching the show that I could watch in 3 days if I'm not missing anything, and just focus on my passion project. And then once you can do that, you can go. But you have to hold yourself accountable at the end of the day and find a support system to help you get to that point.
Yeah, I was going to say, just find if you can find an accountability partner who can help you, like, did you do this today? Did you do that today? And y'all can hold each other accountable. So sometimes, like, we all struggle with that at some point or another. Maybe you excel in an area where they struggle, and they excel in the area where you struggle. So you can both really push each other to be your very best selves.
And shout you out for asking that question, because that's the first step. So we appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And mindset. Your tagline is couch potato. Change your mindset.
Come on, CP.
And not that CP.
Right.
Oh, boy. Y'all go again.
Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Time is up already.
Yeah.
What's wrong with us, man?
Nothing.
Sorry. Nothing wrong with you. You're perfect, huh? Ah, you got it.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you both.
Of course. We appreciate you, too.
Follow at Anxious Wild on all social media platforms. Visit anxiouswild.com to learn more about the show and access our important resources. Sign up for the Selfish Edit, our monthly digest to give you helpful tips and gain even more knowledge on certain things. If you have any questions, send us a DM or email us at hi@anxiouswild.com. Thanks.
Have a good one, y'all. Stay blessed and safe.
Bye.